Welcome to Lead Desk, my name's Rob Edwards. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the agent interface from two different points of view. Primarily, I want to show you what the agent experience is like, how they make calls, the different options that they have for doing so, how they record outcomes, but I also want to have a look at how the settings that we created in the admin videos have affected the agent interface, so we can see what the implication of some of those settings might actually be. There's a lot to talk about, so let's get straight to it. First things first, I'm going to need to log into my agent account, and we set up rob.demo in an earlier video. And when I click on the login, the first thing it's going to do is require us to reset the password, just like when we logged into our admin account for the first time. You've seen how this works, so I'm not going to dwell on it. Click the update button, and then we need to log in again using the new password we've created. So here we are in the agent interface. Down the left-hand side, we have a toolbar of different pages. We'll have a look at those briefly later on, but for the most part, we're going to spend our time here in the Outbound page of the interface. In the top left, we can see the project we're associated with is the onboarding project. If I had access rights to other projects, I could switch to them by clicking the drop-down. But as it goes, for this agent, I only have access to one project at the moment. We can see the description of that project across the top. A project set up to demonstrate how to set up projects. How exciting. And across on the right-hand side here, you may remember we said we wanted a mini report to show the agent how many calls they've made today. And because I've just logged in, as yet, I have not made any calls. The other thing you may remember when we were creating our project is we defined what calling methods were available to an agent. We allowed manual calling, so if I click the manual call button, this would let the agent simply type a phone number in to call. But more importantly, more interestingly perhaps, we have the option here to choose between progressive and preview calling. As an admin, I can choose to set up projects so one or the other is available, or as I have done here, so that the agent can choose which they are using at any given moment. We're going to start by having a look at progressive calling, which is the option we've already got selected. So let's stick with that one there. When I click the start button here, it's going to find the first contact in my contact list and start dialing it. So we see a preview briefly of the contact details as it's ringing, and then it's connected. We can immediately see the contact information for this contact. We've got a phone number, we've got a name, we've got a location, they're in Bristol. We can see that the membership number here, which is our other info 1 field, which if you remember, we renamed and said required a number in it, is telling me I need a number if I want to be able to create orders. So I'm going to use a very creative 1234 as my membership number for this contact. And I need to remember to save the contact information if I've made any changes. So let's click the save button there. At the bottom of the screen, if we've set up any products for our project, we will see them there. So I can, as an agent, select the product here, add it to my order. I can check the delivery address, updating that as required. And when I'm happy that that is done, I can click send to send this order. At the top of the screen, we have our call controls. These are really important to understanding the agent experience. On the left-hand side, we have the button just to hang up this call, to disconnect it. Next to that, we have our recording options. This project we've set up is defined as beginning recording both sides of the conversation as soon as the call starts, which is why you can see there's a red dot next to recording. To turn off that recording, I can click on it and it will go grey. To start again, click once more. There is another type of recording that we can do, which is to record a voice receipt. This is specifically so that we have a recording of the customer saying, yes, I would like to purchase this thing. So to record a voice receipt, I click on the voice receipt, I get confirmation from the customer that is something they want to purchase, and when I finish the voice receipt, I can click to come off of it again. It is recording still the call, but that voice receipt is going to be recorded as a separate entity. And then we have some buttons you'd expect to have. We have the option to put the call on hold, to mute the microphone at this side. If we, making outgoing calls, hit a menu system we have to navigate, we can bring up the DTMF buttons. And finally, we have the option of transferring this call either to another entry in our phone book, just to the next available agent, assuming there is one. We don't have any for this particular environment. Or I can conference in someone else. At the end of the call, when everything is done and dusted, we need to record a call ending reason. So I might hang up the call first, because there may be some admin that I need to do still. Perhaps I want to put a comment in. Perhaps I need to fill in some more details in the contact details here. But when all of that is done, the last thing that I need to do is define my call ending reason. And if you watch the call ending reason video, you'll know that when I click this button here, we will see the option for deal and callback and a group of call ending reasons, which we've called magazine sales, which allows me to say I had a subscription sold, or onboarding reason, which were the two reasons we created when we were looking at the call ending reasons video. I am just simply going to use the deal call ending reason here. And when I do, it will close that call and immediately begin ringing the next person. And Elizabeth Mann has also answered. We're going to give her membership ID. But in talking to her, she actually says that she is happy to speak to us, but not right now. So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to leave a callback for this customer. So I can go to the callback tab down here and select that we're going to call her back on Thursday at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I have an option of defining whether this is a private callback, which is to say that the agent that I currently am logged in as is the only person who can place that callback, or we can leave it as a public callback, which lets any of the agents that we have on our environment place that callback if they needed to. I'm going to leave it as a private one for me to do. I'm recording this video on a smaller screen, so you'll notice I've had to scroll down to see the save button in my case. For your normal resolutions, this would be on screen and you would just click it. Notice, by the way, the call is still ongoing right now. I will still have to hang up, but it has already selected the reason callback as our call ending reason. So I can just click close at this point. I forgot to save the changes to my contact. I should do that, shouldn't I? Click Save Changes. And it's going to go and call the next person, but I'm going to stop that because we've seen now what progressive calling looks like. And you can see that the number of calls I've made today is up to 2. Let's have a quick look at the callbacks page now that we've created one. If we go to callbacks, we can see that I've got one overdue callback to Tina Green and one due on the 7th of March, which is 2 days from now, time of recording. If I want to take a callback early, I can by clicking the call button here, or I can edit the details of the callback here as well. So that's what progressive calling looks like. Let's have a look at what preview calling looks like. If I switch to preview calling, the main difference with preview calling is that the agent will get a chance to have a look at the contact information before starting the call. And also, the agent will need to be the one who initiates that call when they are ready. This can be really useful if there are particular elements of the contact information that you really want the agent to be aware of before placing the call. This gives them a chance to process that and make the decisions they need to make or prepare the details that they need to prepare. Once they are ready to place the call, they can click the call button and the call will commence just the same as in progressive mode. And all the stuff that we talked about earlier, we can do with this call as well. Once we've finished talking to this contact, again, we need to choose the call ending reason. And I realize that one thing we've done here when we set up this call, the call ending reasons for this project is we haven't created one which suggests there was no deal, which is perhaps an oversight or perhaps optimistic on our part that we're always going to sell things. I'm going to choose onboarding reason as our not deal reason. But you may very well want to consider creating a call ending reason for this scenario as well. If I select a call ending reason, this will automatically end the call. And again, in preview mode, it's going to take us to the next contact to call, but it's not going to start that call until I, as an agent, click the call button. Let's have a quick look at some of the other pages. Here's the history page. We can see the 3 calls that we've placed this morning. We can see which project they're associated with, and we can see the call ending reason which was set for each of them in turn. And as an agent, because I've allowed these agents to listen to voice recordings, I have the option to listen to the recording that we created as part of these calls as well. If we go to the orders page, we can see a list of the orders. I can go to the away page to set myself as passive. This means that I won't be making any calls for the moment. I can even set a reason why I'm away. So let's say I'm in training for the moment. And we can see my history of activity today. Notice that the activity only shows when you've been in that particular activity mode for at least a minute. So now I've waited for a minute, and you can now see that the training activity is also listed here on my activity list. So that is a look at the Outbound interface. I want to do a very, very quick look at 2 other interfaces within Lead Desk. We are going to very briefly look at Talk and also a quick look at what Omni looks like and how that's different. Talk is our other outbound calling tool, is that it's a much smaller footprint, so it's easier to use alongside web pages. And we can use it for inbound or robot calls, as you can see here. We can use it for placing manual calls. But if you use the integration for the click to talk, if I go to a web page I prepared earlier, this is the Lead Desk web page. I have got the Chrome extension plugged in here. And so whenever it spots a phone number, it will give me this little green phone symbol next to that phone number. And when I click on this, that takes me to Talk. So it dialed the number I found on the web page, but I hung up straight away so as not to annoy my sales colleagues. But I'm still giving the call ending reason that I would associate with Outbound as well. So that's the basic idea of Talk. It's a smaller footprint of an application, and it can use this click to talk plugin, which can allow you to take phone numbers from web pages, from your CRM system, and just make it easier to make calls to them as well. Now we turn our attention to the Omni interface. The Omni solution is primarily aimed at customer service and is used for handling incoming calls, but also messages, emails, SMS, web chat, and even Facebook Messenger. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but since we've been talking about calls, let's have a look what taking an inbound call looks like in Omni. First of all, I need to start the inbound. So now that I'm waiting for a call to come in or a message, this Simulate Inbound Call button lets me fake a call coming in so you can see what it looks like. I click Answer to answer that call, and I can see the information about my contact, Rob Webb, over here on the right hand side. I can see their phone number, and in the middle of the screen here I can see the contact history. So if this customer has called us before, we might well want to be able to look back and see what other information we've discussed with this customer in the past. One of the great joys about Omni is its ability to move between channels. So at the moment we're on a call with this customer, but maybe he's asked for something and I have a wonderful help document which is able to give him the information he needs. First of all, I might want to capture his email address. So I collect that from him and save it to his contact details. And then I'm going to switch to the email channel. And for recipients, make sure that Rob Webb is there. And then I can type the information he needs. I can attach a file with the answers. I can paste it into the message. But if it is a common question, you may actually set up a template which allows you to use it as a canned message. The canned messages can be accessed from here. And none of these are actually appropriate, but I'm going to use the November email template, which is going to put in some text and then a logo. It's a little bit big. Let's bring that down to size. Then I can send this email, and that might be everything that I need for this call. Remember, I'm still on a call, at which point I have the call controls up here in the top right-hand corner, which should look quite similar to the ones that you saw when we looked at the Outbound interface. So maybe I'll hang up this call and then assign my call ending reason, and this time I'm going to use that issue solved call ending reason we've seen a couple of times before, because that's what's happened here. I've solved the problem for this customer. So whether you're receiving calls, emails, web chats, Facebook Messenger, SMS, essentially the interface looks very similar. We can see the history for the contact, we can reply across different channels, and at the end of each conversation we assign a call ending reason just like we did for Outbound. There is so much more to say about Omni, but that is a very lightning view about what else is out there for Lead Desk beyond the Outbound solution. We've had a look today at primarily the Outbound interface and how we can use that to make calls and record outcomes. But we've also taken a look at the Talk interface and now Omni as well. I hope that's been useful. Cheers.